In the earlier videos, we have discussed about various aspects of concentration. Well, in this video, let's look at what are some of those important tips that one can follow in order to attain concentration, in order to improve concentration. Before we even get there, let's understand this. Imagine a tree when it was a small plant. If you start giving it good care, if you start nurturing it right from the plant onwards, by giving all the ingredients, by putting a fence around it, as it grows up into a big tree, it will become so powerful and strong and healthy that even if you tie an elephant to it, it can stop. So it can stop even an elephant. Similarly, our mind is also like that. If you start early, at an early age, when one is in their childhood, until the mind gets concentration, until the mind attains concentration, better not let it wander wherever it want. So the early the better. Well, does it mean that if you grow up, if you are at certain age, you cannot concentrate? It's not like that. The early the better, but sooner than later. So now consider it this way, the early is always better, but if you are grown up, then it takes little longer time. So keep that in mind. So concentration is a very crucial component in our lives for us to succeed. So let's go ahead and look at some of those important tips. Tip number 1, strength is life, weakness is death, as it was mentioned by Swami Vivekananda. We have talked about the required strengths in one of our earlier videos about concentration. Well, without strength, you cannot do anything. So your physical strength is the first and foremost thing that you need to attain. Then only you can be mentally strong, and later you can become spiritually strong. With all those strengths, you can attain concentration. Now we've already discussed how to get all those. Physical fitness, mental fitness, we discussed about in one of the earlier videos. So the tip number 1 is strength. Physical strength will lead to your mental strength, that will evolve you to attain the spiritual strength. So having physical strength is the first and foremost step. By doing yoga, meditation, sports, games, whatever you wish to do, attain physical strength. Tip number 2, observe your mind. Well, observing your mind is quite possible. Imagine there's a naughty kid who's doing all naughty acts and being naughty all the time. Now, if the kid knew that if someone, an elderly person, is watching all his naughty acts, then the kid will become disciplined. Similarly, if you keep observing your mind, it will stop doing unwanted things. It will get disciplined. So that way you will attain concentration. That way you will train, get the mind under your control. So keep in mind, observe your mind. Observation is very key. One thing at a time. Stop multitasking. That's tip number 3. Stop multitasking. Well, you may be wondering, how is this possible in the modern world by not doing multitasking? Well, it is possible. Let's look at it. First, you need to attain concentration on one thing at a time. After you believe, after you have confidence on you that you could attain concentration on one thing at a time, then you can slowly, gradually get onto multiple things. Remember, if you are doing multiple things at a time, you are dividing your attention to too many things. But if you're doing one thing at a time, then you're giving all your attention, all your focus on one thing. So that's very important. Don't get carried away by looking at people who are doing multitasking. That's not an impossible thing to do. But first, have you attained concentration on one thing at a time? Have you practiced it enough? Well, after practicing over a period of time, you could consider doing multitasking. But bottom line is, one thing at a time, no multitasking. That's tip number 3. Tip number 4, body posture. For example, if a student is preparing for an exam, is studying, it is good if he or she can sit down on the floor and study. sit on a chair, which is okay. But if you're sitting on a bed, that is still okay. But bed is meant for sleeping. The moment you sit on bed, your body will attract you to lay down, and eventually you may fall asleep. So that means where you're sitting, how you're sitting. Of course, you can stand and read, that's also fine. So it's very important to observe your body posture. It's very crucial. Imagine, in a general circumstance, sometimes many of us would try to pull our hair, try to adjust our clothes, and do a lot of things, isn't it? This is without even we knowing our hands, our body will continue to do it. So that means we are performing many tasks without having control over it. That means the concentration is already divided. So it's very important to sit in a right posture with commitment and then exercise what you're doing. That is about body posture, my friends. Tip number 5, scheduling. Have a schedule to your work. Whether you're a student, school going, college going, whether you're working, doing business, whatever it is. Having a schedule plays a key role in order for you to attain concentration. So if you do the same thing every day at the same time, then you're training your mind to focus on that thing. So you will eventually attain the extreme concentration on that task. You'll be able to do it effortlessly. So having a schedule and following that schedule from time to time without fail plays a key role. That's tip number 5. Having a schedule. Schedule your tasks. Tip number 6. No distractions. If you want to do something, make sure you're sitting in a place or you have chosen a place which is distraction free. For example, if you want to read a book, now there's a TV in your drawing room which is making noise. There are kids around who are making noise. Now, if you sit in the distraction free environment, the chances are high for you to concentrate. But over a period of time, if you train your mind, if you practice concentration, then even if you have distractions around it, you will be concentrating still, so that will not bother you. But when you are exercising, when you are practicing concentration, make sure that you are sitting in a distraction free environment as much as possible. Well, practically it may not be possible all the time, but see to that you're sitting in a distraction free environment. So tip number 6, no distractions. Tip number 7, loneliness. Well, this is not isolating yourself from the rest of the world. This is about talking to yourself, spending quality time with yourself. That will improve concentration. So make sure that from time to time you spend time with yourself, talking to yourself, and train your mind to work in loneliness, to work alone. You must have heard about all great people would claim that they get a lot of inspiration when they are alone, when they sit with themselves truly, without any botherization about this world. So that's tip number 7 for you. Tip number 8, observe your breath. Observe your breathing patterns. Imagine if you are in a hurry, you will be breathing fast. If you're relaxed, you'll be breathing at a normal levels. So if you can start practicing observing your breath, if you can watch your breath, so that will give you enough of control on your mind. Observing breath is nothing but concentrating on your breath, letting your mind concentrate on your breath. So that way you are improving concentration. So this is a tip. Observe your breath. Of course, there are various ways to do it. Pranayama, meditation and all that, right? So observing your breath is very crucial. That way you will develop, you will attain concentration. Tip number 9, take a break. Take breaks at regular intervals. For example, after every 1 hour of effort, take a 5 to 10 minute break. So that will let you recoup yourself, rejuvenate yourself, recharge yourself, and then you could concentrate for the next 1 hour undividedly. So taking breaks from time to time, or you could take rest in between. That's also helps you to improve your concentration. So taking breaks from time to time help you attain concentration. Tip number 10, reflect. reflect on yourself, reflect on the work, reflect on the task, what you have done for that 40 minutes or 60 minutes. That way you are reconsidering whether you have done a right thing or you've done any mistake, or is there a way to improve it or do something better, and so on. So reflection will help you to focus. Reflection, revising, reflecting. If you're a student, revise what you have studied, reflect. If you're working on something, reflect on what you have done in that last 1 day or 1 hour or 2 hours, whatever the time is. That will help you to focus, that will help you to improve your concentration. So reflection is very important. Tip number 11, the last tip, company. Which company are you in? I'm not talking about which company are you working for. Who are the people around you? Do you have the right company? Are you surrounded with the right kind of people? Imagine if you are surrounded with an agitated mind, then you obviously get agitated. You cannot concentrate. Imagine if you are with people who are very focused, very concentrated, very objective oriented, very goal oriented, then you can also get into the trance of concentration. You can also attain that concentration. So your company, the environment in which you are sitting, in which you are working, plays a key role. Better not to get into an environment which will distract you from your work. So your company, the environment in which you are getting into, plays a key role for you to improve your concentration. Always be good company, in a healthy environment. That's the last tip.